We're getting started now at about 5:39, and if Mr. Bisson can please call the roll.
Chair Pintar,
Present.
Vice Chair Mendelson,
Present.
Secretary Woods absent, Mr. Bisson's here, Dr. Brown, Mr. Dumas,
Here.
Ms. Faisano, Ms. Federico Mondragon,
Here.
Mr. Moody,
Just a reminder, board members, please turn on your microphones so people who are online can hear you.
Dr. Thomas,
Here.
and Mr. Ware is absent. We have 9 present and 2 absent.
Thank you. Also, board members, just if you haven't noticed, these microphone sets are new and you can move them closer to you if that makes it a little bit better so people can hear you. Thank you. Tonight, we don't have any members that need to participate via teleconference tonight, so there is no statement of cause. Before we move on to item number 3, I am going to take the chair's report, which is typically item 7, out of order. So I'm going to have the chair deliver the chair's report first, and then we'll move to public comment. 2 reasons. I want to introduce to everyone our medical experts that we just heard from during our prior closed session. But I also wanted to take a moment to recognize somebody who has played a critical role in how people who have lost a loved one in our jails have been recognized by this community. And she's actually, I think, had a lot of impact on how CLERB operates, and that is Kelly Davis, who is a journalist who passed away a couple of weeks ago. I knew her personally for a number of years. I met Kelly when she was covering local politics as a journalist, and then I followed her groundbreaking and award-winning stories about the criminal justice system, which she started at San Diego City Beat and continued at the San Diego Union Tribune. It was through Kelly's stories that I learned about CLERB and that the CLERB board was seeking new members, and she encouraged me to apply. The terrible problem of too many in-custody deaths would not have received front-page attention if it weren't for Kelly's compassion, investigative prowess, and heartfelt storytelling. Her reporting gave these tragedies the visibility needed to make even those who aren't involved in the criminal justice system care and understand how all of us are hurt by these deaths, whether by our tax dollars being spent on settlements instead of services, or by a mistake that puts someone in a local jail, even for a short time, and how that can become dangerous in some cases. Her reporting prompted state laws that require more transparency and accountability. And San Diego's CLERB is now the first law enforcement oversight board in the country with jurisdiction over healthcare providers when someone dies in custody. And I believe that Kelly's work helped make these things happen. I personally will dedicate the rest of my work here on CLERB to Kelly's memory, and I would ask that we just dedicate tonight's meeting to her, and we all miss her. I will miss her. I also wanted to take a moment as part of the chair's report to introduce the 2 medical experts that have been retained by CLERB. They helped us out during our last closed session. Roderick Maddox is a licensed physician who has active licenses in Illinois, Missouri, and New Mexico, and he also has previously had active medical licenses in several other states in the United States. Each of those medical licenses were obtained for the purpose of practicing correctional medicine. He is board certified by the American Board of Family Medicine and maintains a certified correctional health professional status with the National Commission on Correctional Health Care. He is also a fellow of the American College of Correctional Physicians, and he is currently providing patient care at the New Mexico Corrections Department. We also have, as one of our medical experts, registered nurse Linda Bernard, who is a certified correctional healthcare nurse through the National Commission on Correctional Healthcare. She's been employed in the correctional healthcare field for more than 20 years. She has served as a staff nurse, a director of nursing, a health service administrator, a junior vice president of operations, and interim vice president of a 10-facility regional healthcare system. And she's been employed in the correctional healthcare service industry and responsible for the oversight of comprehensive healthcare in multiple correctional facilities. That will end my chair's report, and we will move on to item number 3, public comments.
Chair, we have 12 requests to speak.
Okay, please proceed.
We'll start off with our in-person, and we'll start with Edgar. I don't see Edgar online, but if you're online, please raise your hand so I can call you when we move on to our online folks. Next, I'll call Yusuf Miller.
Yusuf Miller, Saving Lives in Custody, California, North County Equity and Justice Coalition. I am very disheartened by the knowledge of Mr. Tanner's case not being reopened, no new evidence. I think the way that he was arrested, the whole scenario of the loss, the injury and loss of Mr. Tanner, and if everyone doesn't know, Mr. Tanner was arrested. We believe that he was arrested very forcefully and unnecessarily, in which resulted in his spinal injury, which made it that he couldn't walk for the rest of his life. He is in care for the rest of his life, which was only 4 years long after his injury. And when they determined that when he passed, that this passing was secondary to his arrest, that the arrest and the injuries to his arrest were something that impacted his life to the medical extent that he passed away 4 years later. I think this is something that needs to be reopened. If it's not in our policy to reopen a case such as this, I think we need to really look at our policies and see if we can get more latitude in opening these kind of cases. To make matters worse, for me personally, he was a veteran, as I am a veteran myself. He was a veteran of this military. He did not deserve to lose his life this way. He was a person impacted by homelessness, a veteran of our service, and he dies very brutally and suffered through this sever of his spine or whatever happened to his spine. I know we can do better than this to re-engage a case such as this. And with other veterans that we've lost, I have to be here and stand up for our veterans. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll call Dorian.
Thank you, Dorian Golo. I have submitted multiple complaints to this department after asking Internal Affairs for review. There is a major problem in the Sheriff's Department. I can assure you this is true. So the drug dealers, criminals named Askandar that live next door, moved there a few years ago, are now sending poisonous gases towards my family, towards my house. We are under this assault for more than 2 years right now. And the Sheriff's Department, not only that doesn't want to investigate, but came on July, after I was set up with a call to the dispatcher to intervene, they came over to arrest me. All they said, turn around, you are under arrest. I said, you are confused. The criminals are right there. No, turn around. So they took me to jail for nothing. Maybe you don't realize the gravity of this situation, but your activity here, by setting my complaints to no misconduct, you are actually supporting the criminal activity of those corrupt officers. There are people here who are doing this intentionally. The executive closed 3 reports, one after another, without investigation. I was never asked a question. And the officer from the Sheriff's Department is calling me close to midnight, threatening me not to call the Sheriff's Department. Remember, I was a victim, not to call the Sheriff's Department. And they say there is no evidence. whatsoever. Yes, there is no evidence.
I would highly recommend that you stop calling and making up stories about your neighbors because they're all being documented. It's not fair to your neighbors. It's not fair to our dispatchers. It's not fair to our deputy sheriffs. If you have any questions, you're welcome to give us a call back. You're going to get me all night and you're not going to speak with
Sir, your
anyone
time
else.
has expired. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Next, we will call David Settles.
Hello, CLERB. David Settles, brother of Matthew Settles, who passed away at George Bailey almost exactly 4 years ago today. So I'm here to remember him and really to remember, all the impacted families I've got to know and their loved ones who've passed away in jail. Many of you here have known I've tried to annually personalize Matthew, and I've read poems he's written to me about the mountains. He loved the mountains. So I want to quickly do that again today, and really just as a means of just remembering that all of us have loved ones, all of can end up in jail for circumstances really not their fault, and they deserve to be treated humanely, get the medical care they need, and to be kept safe. Matthew had schizophrenia, and he passed away in solitary confinement. So here's just a quick poem just to personalize Matthew, as all impacted families should be. All right, so he wrote this in 1991 when he was at UCLA Engineering, but he was writing a set of poems. Mom, I have a mother who treats me so well, but never trusts me as far as I can tell. Many a disappointment she has had from me. It comes from my troublesome history. I have lately toiled to make my balance stable, so I could at least put food on my table. With her as my helper, I can make ends meet, but I yearn for when I myself can do this feat. Not that my only ambition is money, but being a parasite is not very funny. I want to grow to be proud and strong so I can tell Mom I'm okay and not be wrong. I want to tell her from my heart that from her I will never entirely part. It does not matter that I made this rhyme. What counts is that I will love her for eternal time. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Next, we will move on to our online participants, and I will start off with Dee McLeod.
My name is Deidre McLeod, and I'm a constituent of Supervisor Joel Anderson, District 2. My pronouns are she, her. Following up on the JPMU classification presentation from June, I appreciated that much of CLERB's discussion centered on mental health evaluations. With the deaths of Dominic McCoy back in the news, it's especially important that this board continue to address classification failures related to mental health. But I was struck by how many times the presenter said, "We just talked to them," when discussing classification and reclassification in general. That part of San Diego jail population management appears to be very subjective. And when that much subjectivity is involved in a law enforcement process, questions arise about implicit bias and the possibility of racism affecting outcomes. Is part of the additional 28-day training intake officers get how to recognize implicit bias in their classification decisions? If such training exists, how effective is it? This board requesting detailed data about whether Black or brown people are assigned to more restrictive classifications at higher rates than incarcerated white people would be helpful. Because if such racial disparities do exist, then mental health failures aren't the only problem with classifications that need to be addressed here in San Diego County. Also, I'd like to mention, I don't think your cameras are working. I only have a logo on my Zoom screen.
The audio. I'm gonna call.
I think this works. Yeah, this is from, they turn it on and off from there.
Testing. Okay. Testing. Testing.
Let me check. This is okay. Yes, yes.
Can we
So
make sure we get confirmation from someone?
she already, I just went out there and I could hear
Okay.
perfectly. So this one, this is the old one.
Yeah. Well, that would help. So
Yeah.
let's at least get through open.
Yeah.
Online, but do we have any more in person? And can we hear them online? Mr. Packard, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
We can. So we're having a lot of technical difficulties here, especially with the board members using their microphone. We have the one stationary microphone that works. So be patient with us, and we're going to come to you first online, I believe. So is there any more in-person public comment? Okay, then are you ready to proceed with Mr. Packard?
Yes.
Thank you.
According to an article in today's UT, CLERB staff will recommend that the board do nothing more on the case of the homicide death of Randall Tanner in 2023. Paul Parker, attorney Julia Yu, and Dave Myers all believe this case needs a much more thorough investigation. Even though the involved officers are no longer with the department, please tell staff to more fully investigate this to help ensure the sheriff's accountability for this homicide and to report changes in practices to prevent further deaths such as this. Insist that staff go beyond technicalities and look deeply to identify improper behaviors by officers that contributed to this death. And here are my first comments on the new jail, Vista Jail proposal. Clearly, the jail needs at least a major renovation, but so far, I've seen no actual data on the need for a new jail. Since one of your duties is to review and make recommendations on policies and procedures of the sheriff, please tell staff to provide detailed data, including the Kitchell study used to assess needs to justify a new jail with 1,300 beds, given a current Vista capacity of 825. Clearly, IPs who need to be incarcerated and have behavioral health needs should have adequate services and facilities, but it could be that some with behavioral health conditions don't need incarceration and could be better served in an inpatient facility or other setting. I know a master plan is due this fall, but please be proactive and now ask sheriff staff to provide their justification for the need for $1 billion jail. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you, sir. Leslie, can you tell us who the next online speaker is? Next we'll go to Leslie Crawford.
Oh, are you there? Can you?
We can
me?
hear you, Leslie. We can hear
Okay.
you.
Yes, thank you for remembering her. I would like to request my time to Yusuf Miller, please.
Yusef Miller, Saving Lives in Custody, California, North County Equity and Justice Coalition. Now I want to talk about the case that you've reviewed already, and I hope we looked at it in more detail, is the case of Linda Bagbay. Linda Bagbay, when she lost her life, she was 237 pounds. And according to the medical examiner's report, she was morbidly obese. But according to family, when she checked into the jail 5 months earlier, she was 5.5 months earlier, she was 165 pounds. What does this mean? This means that she gained approximately 13 to 14 pounds a month until her death. And it didn't trigger any alarms. It didn't let anybody know that maybe something is wrong with Linda Bagbay. So if it is true that she checked in at 165 and then she leaves Las Colinas at 237, this 72-pound difference in 5.5 months, I'm sure any one of you who gains 12, 13, 14 pounds a month for 5.5 months will be noticed that there may be something wrong. Maybe you need to go to the hospital. Maybe you need to be seen by medical. Whether you complain about it or not, someone should have recognized that, being that a person like Linda Bagbay was always going to medical in the first place. According to medical and the health standards, to gain that much weight in a month, 1 month requires you to really be careful. 2 months, go see a professional, go see a doctor. 5.5 months later, Linda Bagbay is dead. And one of the things they talked about is her heart in her death. But of course, carrying this much weight does a real big stress on the heart. So of course that makes sense. Please make the right choice on Linda Bagbay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Sabrina Woodall.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Weddle. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Weddle, the older sister of Saxon Rodriguez, who died July 20th, 2021 at San Diego Central Jail. I first want to start by giving my condolences to Kelly Davis. Kelly Davis passed away this year, July 1st, 2026, which also happens to be with Saxon's 27th birthday. Due to Kelly Davis and her reporting, I had a lot of information about my brother that I would have never gotten from Kelly Martinez. On July 29th of last month, due to SB 519, my family and I received internal affair paperwork. I don't even know what it's called. It was a whole hot mess. It was where my brother died. That cell was disgusting. And in those reports, Brian Powell failed at doing his sworn duty as a San Diego sheriff deputy. He failed at checking my brother, and he will never see any consequences. He had to do a little training. I would love to see proof of that. Probably won't ever. I hear we have new medical people in the building. I want to say the nurses' names that were working the day my brother died: Melissa Burns, Reggie Barretta, Carrie Cavello, Reincarnacion, Caitlin Hendricks, Marlene Banza, Kelly Payne, Levy Santos, and Chantel Williams. 9 nurses also failed at doing their duties, along with Brian Powell, Andrew Randovich, Maxwell Rimple, and Andre Wanzer. But Brian Powell was the one that saw my brother and continued to keep walking. He never stopped at his cell until he was dead. And the medical examiner stated, had he been checked on time, that the 5 minutes and 28 seconds wouldn't have cost him his life. I'd still have my brother to this day. He had court the next day. He should have been out and released. It's always gonna be rest in peace, Saxon Rodriguez. Rest in peace, Kelly Davis. You guys both are missed.
Thank you. Next, we will call caller with the name RJCSD. Can you unmute, please?
Good evening. Darwin Fishman, he, him, his, Racial Justice Coalition of San Diego. Also wanted to extend my condolences to Kelly Davis and thank you for your acknowledgement and tribute to her and her work and how critical played not just with CLERB but the community in general and how important her work as a journalist was for us. So I very much appreciate that. I also wanted to comment on Tanner, and I saw this statement from Dave Myers as very powerful, and I hope that all of you have seen it too. And even with it being dated in terms of timeliness for you guys, I hope you guys take it very seriously and understand the significance of that. Part of it, from the community standpoint, as you're hearing tonight, is that lack of trust in you and your decisions about this, especially since looks like it was badly bungled the first time, and now you're having a second opportunity at it. I also want to bring up the audit and make sure that your in custody audit is not lost and it's directly connected to these cases, especially in terms of the access of information you get from the sheriff's department and then what's made accessible to the public. Having an audit on in custody deaths and what you signed, the organization you have gave responsibility for it, telling you that they were not able to get access to key documents and the sheriff's department would provide that, I hope is now not buried away, given that the report's already been submitted and it's been publicly presented, but that it's appreciated as a still an ongoing issue that you guys need to address and work on, especially now that this is public and we're looking to you to see how you're dealing with this. Clearly, your ability to do this job and how well you're able to do things like investigate in custody deaths in terms of patterns and policy recommendations is dependent on your ability to get this information from the sheriff's department. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Diana Sanchez. Diana, can you unmute?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, my name is Diana Sanchez, and I'm with Saving Lives in Custody, California. And I am the mother of Diana Granillo, who died in custody July 13th, 2022. She died in Las Colinas. And I just want to give my condolences also to Kelly Davis. She reported a lot of my daughter, and because of her, she was brought to light and a lot of the issues in Las Colinas. And my daughter died because of many complications that are not. She was first. She was arrested by a deputy in San Marcos, was a sheriff in San Marcos by the name of Heather Aguirre. She was arrested illegally. She had no grounds in arresting her on a warrant that was not valid. And then she was taken to Vista Jail. From there, she was taken to Las Colinas, and she was, my daughter disclosed that she was an addict and that she was under the influence of fentanyl, and they did not perform the right protocol. She was then put into general population. She was not giving her medication for withdrawal. She wasn't, the procedure wasn't followed. And my daughter suffered a great deal. They didn't perform the checks that we're supposed to. And, you know, she was found unresponsive in herself 5 days later. and they didn't perform CPR on her. I mean, my daughter suffered a great deal. And 14 minutes passed by before they even helped her and got 911 or initiated anything for her. So she suffered a great deal. So there needs to be more policies and procedures in place. And then later, I mean, so many other deaths happen in the jail. I'd like to see more reform. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will call Beverly.
Yes, I just want to say rest in peace and power to Kelly Davis. And I'll give my minutes to Yusuf Miller.
Rest in peace, Kelly Davis. Kelly Davis in 2019 in the Dying Behind Bars series is what launched Saving Lives in Custody California. Actually, we started off as Saving Lives in Custody campaign, and it was because of Kelly Davis's work that all of this trouble from Saving Lives in Custody California has brought to this CLERB in a positive and sometimes cooperative and sometimes adversarial way. Her impact on the CLERB, her impact on the community, and her impact on the county and the state cannot be overstated. So what has she done that makes it so important to Saving Lives in Custody campaign and Saving Lives in Custody California? Because of her, the families of Saxon Rodriguez has been heard and being heard to this day, and you've heard Sabrina online. The family of Omar Moreno Arroyo, who's also, these are the families of Saving Lives in Custody California. The family of Matthew Settles and Elisa Serna, Gilbert Gill, Kevin Mills. I mean, and the list goes on. Abdul Kamara, Vanessa Graneo, Keith Bach, Hayden Shook, the Wilson family, Frankie Greer family, my main man Raybo. All of these lives lost and more have come together as a family unit to stand together and support one another going through these tragedies. From this list and more, most of them can't make it to CLERB, but know that when we stand here, we're representing those families, and those families need you. They need us. They need the medical department that we've just, the 2 medical personnel that we just hired. We need everybody to look into these cases, and we want to thank and bless Kelly Davis's soul for bringing us all together.
Chair Peter, we have 2 comments to be read for the records, if you allow me to read it. So the first one is from Chelsea Gear. I urge CLERB to demand accountability after outside consultants were denied full access to the Sheriff's Department records during the in-custody death audit. I also urge CLERB to oppose the proposed Vista Jail and advocates for county behavioral health, book and release, and other proven alternatives to incarceration. And we have received also comment to be read for the records from Debbie Caymans. Before the plan to jails move forward, I urge board to ask how future deaths will be prevented and to address how many people now booked in the jail should instead be referred to county mental health services or booked and released. Please also keep the in-custody death audit active and public, given the provision denial of full document access. Chair Pintar, that concludes the request to speak for item number 3.
There's one more public comment. Can you please give me the 2 minutes? This was emailed to me this morning by David Myers. Chair Pintar and members of the board, I write as a retired commander of the San Diego Sheriff's Office with 35 years of service and as a member of the public who has followed CLERB's work closely, respectfully, and in good faith over many years. I would not send this letter on the day of a board meeting if I did not believe the vote tonight on case 24073 Tanner carries a weight beyond a single case. I submit this in the hope that is useful to your deliberation, not as opposition to any member individually. The Tanner case, on the documented record, Randall Kelly Tanner was paralyzed on May 31st, 2019 after San Diego Sheriff's deputies pinned him to the ground during an encounter that began over expired vehicle registration. He died on February 12th, 2023. The medical examiner's office classified the manner of death as homicide, which with cause traced to remote blunt force injuries to the head and neck sustained in the 2019 encounter. An outside neuropathology consultation confirmed remote traumatic injury to the mid-cervical spinal cord. In September 2020, CLERB found Deputy 1's use of force action justified and Deputy 2's use of force unfounded on excessive force. Those findings were reached without any of the forensic evidence subsequently established by autopsy, without the outside neuropathology consultation, without confirmation of permanence, without the 4-year clinical trajectory, without the homicide classification. Tonight's staff conclusion recommends that the 2020 findings stand on the basis that the ME's report is the only new evidence presented and would not alter the findings.
Chair Pintar, we received 2 more requests to speak and 1 more statement to be read for the public. If you allow me to call them. Thank you. So next we will call Rich Turner.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you fine.
Hi, my name is Richard Michael Tanner, and Randall Kelly Tanner was my younger brother. There are just so many things that was wrong with this, and it's been basically a bureaucratic nightmare all this time to try to get any information at all or reports. I never heard about CLERB until the reporter, Jeff McDonald, just told me about this 2 days ago. He's got me information. I got him some information, and he prompted me to view the video again. And the thing I see is, while people may have disagreements about the exact use of force, which I don't see it being justified, but in any case, my problem extends to something I just noticed in the video, which is what happened after he was slammed to the ground, which was they treated him like a rag doll, pushing him around like they're playing with him. And the first rule when you think somebody's got a head or neck injury is you don't mess around and let the neck get moved. You're not supposed to do that. And I cannot comprehend how anybody missed that in the video. Both officers pulled and pushed and dragged and tried to force him to be in a sitting position where, if you watch the video, you see his body, due to gravity, is curling over because he has no control of his body at the time. This is, I mean, if you guys can't see that there's evidence here that needs to be looked into for gross negligence at the very least, I don't know what you guys are doing, why you're even there. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we will call Julie Diaz. Julie? Julie, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Julie Diaz Martinez. I am from North County, San Diego. I too am very concerned about your specific board not addressing an unjustified use of violence, which was ruled as a homicide, of the unfortunate and very grave death of Mr. Randall Tanner. Civilian oversight commissions are newer to the United States. However, in the last 20 years, they have been formed in order for the community to ask, not for restitution, but for justice for community members who are treated unfairly, and in the case of Mr. Tanner, whose death are a result of sheriff collusion, oversight, not lack of oversight, and lack of unjustified violence against the community members. If there is anything that CLERB should do, is to take a more discerning, eagle-eye approach to what happened to Mr. Tanner. It is not for me to tell you what your job is, but it is for me to tell you that the community expects civilian oversight commissions treat each case with a high degree of concern. And it's unfortunate that CLERB has not seen what the community has seen. My heart goes out to any family member who experiences violence from sheriff overreach. We look to you, CLERB, to enact justice as a civilian oversight commission. And again, thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Chair Pintar. We have the last comment to be read for the public, received from Nancy Bia. I urge CLERB to demand accountability after outside consultants were denied full access to the Sheriff's Department records during the in-custody death audit. I also urge CLERB to oppose the proposed Vista Jail and advocate for county behavioral health, book and release, and other proven alternatives to incarceration. And that concludes request to speak for item number 3.
I think that I will call the roll for you, Norm, if you will take the notes. Okay. Okay. We are now moving to item number 4, minutes approval. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the June CLERB meeting? So we have a motion from Mr. Mendelson. Is there a second? And a second from Mr. Brown. Mr. Bisson, I will call the roll for you. Mr. Dawson? Mr. Dumas, sorry. Yeah. Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown? Ms. Federico Mondragon? Mr. Bisson? Mr. Mendelson? Ms. Fasano? Dr. Thomas? And Mr. Moody? I'll let you give me the results, Norm. I believe that was 6 yeses and 2 abstains. Okay, thank you. We'll now move to, let's see, we don't have any presentations or trainings tonight. Number 6, Executive Officers Report.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Brett Kalana. I'm the Executive Officer of CLERB. To everyone here and online, my pronouns are he, him, his. To give you a little overview of activities of staff and priorities, we conducted one of our first engagements with our new outreach specialist, Leslie Garcia. It was the National Night Out in IB. Our outreach specialist, Leslie Garcia, and investigators, Kelly Garcia and Bobby Ray Salas, manned the engagement table. And I hear there was a really good turnout and a lot of opportunities for engagement. We look forward to increasing that engagement and presence in the community, and we're looking for additional opportunities at all times. I also had the opportunity to meet with the Commission on Police Practices Executive Director and their lead investigator. We discuss best practices and opportunities for collaboration in the future. This month, we begin testing on our case management system. Thanks to Chief Deputy Norris Hakak with assistance from Kelsey Gans to get us very near the finish line on this very long process, about 5 years. But we're within days, maybe under 100 days. We're getting there. We've already completed 2 civil service appeals. One was withdrawn the day before the hearing, and we conducted a 2-day hearing last week. We expect to have results in the next couple of months on those, but we also have 2 more civil service hearings scheduled for October and 3 more that have assigned commissioners that we don't have a date yet. So a lot of civil service this fall. Case updates. We have 23 cases on the agenda for today and tonight, including the 7 death cases, of which 2 have this new medical provider jurisdiction. I want to take the time to thank the community. There's members here that have been advocates of that for a very long time. This board and the Board of Supervisors for advocating for this jurisdiction. You know, what was once brought up by this board over 5 years ago has finally become reality. CLERB truly is a beacon for other oversight bodies in not just California, but all over the country. The staff looks forward to learning and discovering this first-in-the-nation work with our carceral healthcare experts and provide the stakeholders with as much information as we possibly can. And we look forward to expanding and learning how we best can get that information out while still protecting the confidentiality of the individuals involved in the case and the deputies or officers that are also involved and the healthcare providers now. So we look forward to that. After tonight, we will be under 100 open cases and under 20 death cases. These are the lowest numbers during my tenure and as far back as at least 5 to 6 years ago when these numbers were this low. And so I want to thank, I know we have 23 cases tonight. 7 of them a night is a lot, and I know you have a lot to review, and we will be here for a long time. But I'm excited about the process of getting these numbers down and getting these to the public as quickly as possible. And that really is, again, a tribute to our Chief Deputy, Lynn Setzler, and her assembled team of investigators who've been working really hard to get these to the board well in advance of POBAR date. Our POBAR date has gone from very close to 1 month out to now we are averaging in the 110 to 120 days out in that short period of time. So it's due to a lot of work of that, of the investigators and Chief Deputy Seltzer.
Thank you. Are there questions for Brett about the executive officer's report from the members of the board? And I think maybe what we'll do for the rest of the night is that if you have questions for Brett going forward or for any other anything else on the agenda, I can hear you from here and I will just repeat your question into the microphone so people online can hear. Are there, so there are no questions for Brett, then we will move on to, we already went through, I gave the board chair's report previously. We'll move on to board member query for sheriff and probation liaisons. I can't see behind me, so who is here tonight? Yes. It's Diaz-Pena, but not our liaison, so. Assistant Sheriff Lopez, are you providing the liaison report tonight? Okay, maybe he's on his way. Anna, go ahead.
Good evening. Anna Diaz-Pena with probation.
Questions for probation liaisons tonight? Dr. Thomas?
I don't,
Would you mind repeating what you heard from him?
so you're asking if I have the stats on Matt, on the people that come back after they're getting treatment. Is that correct? Okay. I don't have the answer now, but I will have the answer next month for you. Mhm.
Any other questions for our probation liaison? Thank you. Yes, Dr. Thomas.
That I can remember, we have, but I want to give you like an accurate, when was the last time we did that? Or when we did it, and I'll have that for you next time. Yes. I respect that. Yeah, I'll get that for you.
I didn't ask you, but can you repeat what he asked you? I'm sorry.
So he asked, that was Dr. Brown, asked if our department puts out surveys to get feedback from everything that the community is asking of us. Is that correct? And from the officers, correct. So I will get that information. Okay.
Thank you.
Over. Thank you, guys.
We look forward to your answer next month.
Yes.
I believe our office liaison, Sir Jarjura, is here.
Good evening.
Anyone have questions for Mr. Jarjura tonight? Okay.
For a specific survey, I'm not 100% sure. We interact with the community a lot. We have a bunch of, whether it's coffee for the community events, there's National Night Out, there's regular events in the community from, well, really just about every station in all the areas of the county. So a lot of the feedback is in person. Also, we'll take emails from people, different phone calls that come in. I'd have to get back to you on an actual survey. And then as far as with the employees, there's always constant engagement with the employees, even just through their direct supervisory line. But they're pretty much open. If somebody has a suggestion, one of the things is if somebody even wants to change policy, they can ask permission to either do a staff study or to write something up. And that could be deputy level. And then can see where it goes. You're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Jarjura? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We will now move into new business. Mr. Kleina, do you want to present the item on the revised rules and regulations for tonight?
Good evening, everybody. I want to first set out by that this is part of an ad hoc committee that was formed by Chair Pintar. And on that committee was myself Ellen Gross and Dr. Thomas, and we went through the rules and regulations to look for either modifications or corrections that needed to be made, that it hasn't been done for quite some time on CLERB's information, right? We know last year they modified the ordinance and we had to change and add that stuff, but we didn't look at the rest of our rules and regulations. And so we took the time this summer to work on this, and we are on track as long as the board approves the changes and to the rules and regulations that we would present this to the Board of Supervisors next month. In regards to this, there were spelling, there were grammar, there were little things that we found throughout. We tried to make everything as gender neutral as possible. We focused on making sure that there were not duplicate duties within the rules and regulations, which we did find. And so I really want to focus on the three things that will modify the ordinance. Right, so this is why we need the Board of Supervisors approval, mostly because these three things are in our ordinance. And so they have to be the ones to make that change. The first is our voting rules. And we've discussed this many times. The rules as they stand state that no matter how many are here for the meeting quorum, we still have to have a majority of the members appointed instead of the members that are present. And so we modified that to change that. Now it would be the number, a majority of the members that are present for the meeting instead of the ones appointed. And that goes along with all the other commissions and boards in the county, including the Board of Supervisors. In fact, I was asked many times, how did you guys have this for this long, 30 years? And so that was something that we had no pushback at all from the chiefs of staff from the Board of Supervisors that I was able to sit down with and discuss this. The other one was the wording on, it says, this board shall establish rules and regulations. We know that that was done 35 years ago. We changed that to say that this board should review on a regular basis, that we would review and revise the rules and regulations to make sure we're keeping up with this instead of doing this once every 10 years or longer. And the last one is our inspection issue with adult detention inspections. So this issue has been something that has popped up from time to time. There was a focus on it some time ago about the ability of CLERB to go in to do these independent inspections of sheriff's detention facilities. That has nothing to do with juvenile or probation. And what we discovered in that is that the wording on that is that we conduct information and report back to the Board of Supervisors. We have explained to this board for my time here, and I know for a long time before, we don't have, one, the expertise. We do not have the bodies nor the people that know what they're doing to actually conduct. We would have to go and ask for a large set of money just to find these people and be able to do it. That's number one. Number two, we do not, as a board nor staff, have unfettered access to the facilities. So we can show up like other oversight bodies in the state. There are multiple oversight bodies that have the authority to go into the detention facilities, but we don't. And so that limits us in our ability to actually conduct the investigation or the inspection. And so what we recommend to do is to continue what this board has been doing for a very long time, which is we regularly go to these facilities. The DIS helps us. We offer it to board members. Staff does it regularly. We go through these detention facilities. There's multiple detention facilities that we see multiple times a year. And when we do that, we report that in our annual report. that goes to the Board of Supervisors. So what we've modified it to make it that we would continue with that practice while allowing those institutions and agencies that do have the access and the ability to keep conducting those. We would revisit this if maybe there wasn't an agency or some type of governmental group that lost access and there's nobody any longer. We would then come back and maybe try to work on that. But for now, we think the expertise belongs with the people that have that expertise. Those are the three big changes to the ordinance. They're slight wording changes, nothing real lengthy, but you will see throughout there's little minor details. This was discussed numerous times amongst the ad hoc committee. I hope you've all had a chance to take a look at the different changes. Before I ask for any questions, I would also ask today that the board makes a motion to allow CLERB to do a better job of organizing these rules and regulations besides just changing some of the words. There are parts of the rules and regulations that should fall under a different area, things that are not even in the ordinance. So we have the freedom to do what we need to do with these rules. And there's also things like an investigative hearing that's peppered throughout the middle of our rules and regulations, yet this board has never once used those powers, and nor have they been requested by any peace officer. So I'd ask that in addition to approving the changes that you allow us to make these rules and regulations read better and make some, I'm going to get a question on the exact language that we would ask for that particular motion.
Yes, so what we would be asking is that in addition to, after your consideration and deliberation on the changes that we're proposing, that should you approve them, that you also include in the motion that the board delegates to the executive officer the ability to make non-substantive changes to better organize and group the rules and regulations together. And also, I just did want to mention one other change. We did change the meaning, the finding of non-sustained, not sustained, because in the rules and regs, it says that there must be evidence that clearly proves or disproves an allegation. That is not the legal standard. It should be that there is not a preponderance of evidence that supports the allegation. Otherwise, clearly proving or disproving would get us into a clear and convincing standard, which is not where CLERB is, and it's much higher than a preponderance, and it doesn't make sense. So we changed that too.
And I would add to that, we focused within each of those definitions that you will see in the future once we get this authority, if we do, is that we have kept preponderance of the evidence within each of those findings so that we can be very specific on what our role is and what our burden of proof is. And then removing that word clearly, hopefully will make that change. I would also note that that is also not in the ordinance. And so that is the freedom of this board to make that call. We don't have to go necessarily to the Board of Supervisors because those definitions are not included in the ordinance. Yes, Mr. Mendelson. So the question was, what are we going to do with the investigative hearings? We are not changing anything about the investigative hearings. It's just, let's put our priorities first, our jurisdiction, our duties up front so that the public goes right to this. There's a lot of information in here. And so nothing investigative hearings will be changed. It'll just be modified so that it's one section at the back of our rules and regulations.
we had a forum of board members, but then we get a forum, board members present, and then we get a forum. Haven't had the opportunity to review attachment D, which is the revised copy of attachment D, which shows you what the changes were. This one time I would move to the board copy, change attachment D, and give the clerk staff the ability to rearrange it.
Is there a second to Mr. Mendelson?
You want to read?
I'm going to let you do that. I just want to, since we have a motion, I'm going to take a second and then we'll go open for discussion and let you ask your questions. Is that okay? Okay.
Sorry,
So-
are you?
Yes, I just said that. I'm going to. That's okay. That's okay. So I'm going to take a motion from Mr. Mendelson and then a second from Mr. Moody. And now we'll open it up for discussion. So Dr. Brown and then Ms. Fasano.
Yes, very much so, to really make sure that the priorities of our rules and regulations are right up front.
And Brett, can you repeat the questions into the microphone when,
Yeah.
for the rest of them? So I believe Ms. Fasano is next.
Yep, and I just wanted to repeat that Dr. Brown asked that if it would be better for the community, and I responded about that it will be better organized to put our priorities on front.
Okay. Ms. Fasano, do you have a question? I think she can hear me. Del, you have a question for Brett?
Yeah, I'll repeat that.
That's to the, I think she probably means the board meeting. Or I can.
Yes, so you're talking about the board's procedural manual, so we'll talk about that next. But so the question is about a couple issues that we're talking about, for the board to have their own procedural manual so that we know what we're doing and what procedures we're following when we're working on these cases.
Mr. Dumas.
You talked about specifics for reviewing or revising the rules, changing that language. You mentioned it hasn't happened in, I don't know how many years or how many decades. Did you put specific time? Did you say yearly, biannually, or anything like that?
The wording that was in there was 4 years, and so we left that in there to make sure we review and revise and look at it every 4 years. I will go to Dr. Thomas, who had to do this process with us this summer, and maybe get his opinion on what it takes to do this. Now, this is our second time in 6 months of going through this process. It is a lot, and you want to make sure it's right. And there are factors that change over time, which is obvious based upon these new things. I think it is a good time frame. It's a time frame that the Board of Supervisors uses for the other boards and commissions as well.
So every time we change it, do we need to go to the Board of Supervisors for approval?
Every single time, even if it doesn't change the ordinance. And for every one of these that we do here requires an extensive amount of paperwork for us and staff on our end to just get it in front of the Board of Supervisors. And so it's a long, lengthy process that really takes a lot of resources.
Any other questions regarding the revised rules and regulations? If not, we'll take a vote of the board and then we'll move on to the procedures manual. Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Bisson, I will help you call the roll since I'm standing here by the microphone. Okay, Chair Pintar says yes. I'm gonna go this way so I can see everyone's names, and I'm gonna do it so I can talk into the microphone and everyone online can hear me. Mr. Dumas. Dr. Brown. Ms. Federico Mondragon. Mr. Bisson. Mr. Mendelson. Ms. Fasano. Dr. Thomas. And Mr. Moody. 9 yeses, unanimous. We'll now move on to item 9B, which is approval and addition, the board member procedural manual. That was attachment E in the box accounts, everyone. I'll turn it back over to Brett.
So these are the board manual that we have used internally to talk about different things like how we go about asking questions of investigators in advance of the hearing so that that the investigators can come in prepared. How do we handle our elections? How do we handle the performance review? So there's a lot of things that are in that manual that are just for the board. And over that hasn't been done for almost a year of any changes in it. I know that we've discussed these things in our meetings and have agreed that these are things that the board agreed on. So I wanted to put it all in here. One was how we handle discussions of investigations that involve disciplinary records and how the board would handle that. The other one was how this new consent agenda and how we process that and put that into ours so that we aren't debating each one, but it still allows for any one of the board members to pull any case to be reviewed and deliberated on. We have the procedure that we brought forward, I think it was 2 or 3 months ago, regarding how the staff deals with the redactions and placement of peace officers' names within our findings. Because there's 2 different ways in which it happens. There's different times where we're allowed to place the deputy's name or the probation officer's name in the agenda. And that's only 2 cases, use of force resulting in GBI and discharge of firearm. However, if the board then sustains any findings for any of the 9 areas in which post finds as serious misconduct, we then, per 832.7 as well, are given the authority to put those officers' names into the final findings. And so there's 2 different ones. And so that's sitting in front of you so that you always know why maybe sometimes there isn't a name or why there is a name actually in the agenda. You all maybe don't all notice that each and every time because you guys get our confidential reports, which has everything in it. But the public sees the redacted. Anything we post on the internet is redacted. Our agenda is redacted. And so that's the difference between what you all receive and what the public receives. And I just want us, we're all on the same page as to why those names are in there. And so we don't have any confusion. I'm sorry, one last thing. Oddly, when we were discussing the process of getting new board members, obviously we have 11 board members and we're in a great position right now. And so I was looking back on the process and how maybe we can do a little better job to find out that in 2020, this board already did that and actually presented it to the Board of Supervisors on a 2-pronged approach to do public awareness for the board member positions and also to make some changes to the application process. And so I took them word for word out of that Board of Supervisors approval. I think we should have had them in our procedure manual since we started that. But this popped out of nowhere, and then thankfully our CAO's office caught that to put in our manual.
So is there any questions regarding the board member procedure manual for Brett before we entertain a motion.
Yeah, so 832.7 of the Police Officer Bill of Rights enumerates the times when an officer's name is allowed to be placed into public agenda hearings. And so there's two incidents of that when it comes to an agenda. That's the use of force that resulting in GBI and the discharge of a firearm. Then there are also findings within 832.7 that if this board sustains, yeah, not just on use of force with GBI or discharge of weapon, that we can also place the name in there. But it has to be a sustained finding for one of the enumerated list of things in 832.7.
Did you mention something about term limits?
We have talked about when it came to the removing the term limits for the board members to be on executive officers, to be the executive officers. And that was a request of multiple board members when we had a discussion about it. And I can either defer to those that want to talk about it, but the understanding was that there's already term limits on you all as board members, and that we didn't want to necessarily limit somebody who may be doing a good job, or the other side of that is somebody's not doing a good job, this board cannot elect that person the next year. And so there are ways to make sure and protect the board isn't maybe over. This was brought forward a long time ago when there were issues between the different districts and the people that they put forward, and they were concerned that some districts may gang up on things and have issues, but we don't see that now. And we see that there's again, two options that allow us to make sure that nobody serves too long. No term limits on serving as chair, vice chair, or secretary. That's it. Nothing to change. Nothing changes your term limits as board members. Nothing. Just the elected officers, which is a purview of you all, right, to put in there. And so it has nothing to do, those term limits that are set up are part of the Board of Supervisors process, and those cannot be changed. I don't believe they would allow us to change those because they use those uniformly across all the boards and commissions.
Any other questions for Adele?
I don't have it sitting here.
So I have on inbox, but I don't have that with me here.
Okay, I'm gonna correct myself from earlier. 3.5 of the rules and regulations is actually where we made that change, not in the procedural manual. So great catch, Adele. D and E, I think.
Where the person or the CLERB officers have been redacted. Additionally, Member Pisano, to your request for juveniles, and having a extra category for when CLERB is unable to obtain information sufficient to conduct investigation into allegations of physical misconduct by probation officer. That is the red line, that's section
15.1.
has more.
Yes. So I'm going to say this on here so that we don't have to do it. I'll read this to you. Under summary dismissal, we added CLERB was unable to obtain evidence to complete an investigation due to protected status or court order, which was addressing what you're talking about. I was confused on that question, so that's my bad to tell. You do, and it's also in box. You can tonight, but it was in box, and yeah. If I printed out both copies of those documents, we would be printing out much larger binders with the 23 cases. So we've discussed how we're going to try not to do that as often. It is also an attachment to the agenda. Both of the documents are an attachment on our website to the agenda tonight. And the informational copy is the redlined one, and the clean copy is with all the changes being made. And that's how the Board of Supervisors requires us to present when we go in front of them.
Mr. Mendelson. Is there a second? Dr. Thomas? Is there any more discussion? Mr. Bisson, are you okay if I call the roll from here? Okay. Mr. Dumas? Dr. Brown? Ms. Federico Mondragon? Mr. Bisson? Mr. Mendelson? Ms. Fasano? Okay. Okay. Ms. Fasano is a no. Dr. Thomas? Mr. Moody? Okay. So that is, and myself, yes. Eight yes and one no. We will now move to, so we don't have anything for unfinished business. We'll move to board member comments. Is there anyone who would like to come to this podium and make any comments since your microphones aren't working? Okay. I will repeat whatever you have to say in the microphone so people online can hear.
Get out of line, make it difficult, create conflict.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. But also come to that, I know you want to take care of business, make sure that guys do get out of line, take not for you will deal with without say. So thank you.
I'll do my best to restate that. So Dr. Brown wanted to thank the sheriff's deputies and members of the sheriff's office and probation officers for their work and for their public service, recognizing that they also want to help us make sure that all the officers are behaving or acting the way that we would want them to make sure that both departments uphold a fair and strong reputation. Any other board member comments? Mr. Mendelson? That's a good idea. Mr. Mendelson is recognizing that we have several senior members of the sheriff's office with us tonight. They have made a commitment to come and listen to our meetings and participate when asked. So Assistant Sheriff Lopez, would you like to recognize the members of the office that are here with us tonight?
Good evening, board. I just want to start by saying thank you for those words, Mr. Brown. Trust me, we do the best we can to basically provide the highest public safety service we can. One thing that I wanted to add is, and I think Dr. Brown took note to this, is we're always willing to show you our facilities, show you our processes, and bring you inside. Recently, Dr. Brown went to Central Jail and toured something that I know you said you did not have unfettered, access to our facility. I would argue you do, and that anytime you need to see something, we're willing to show that to you and basically show you those processes. Much like, you learn from us, we learn from the board. And I also want to say we learn from community members also that we work with, and it definitely makes a difference for transparency. So I can take any questions if anybody has any specific questions about anything we do. And lastly, I'll just finish, and I probably work with through DIS, is we have some unprecedented changes, especially in medical. I'm sure you guys know we're changing medical carriers. There's a lot of technology components going in, stuff like that. I think that this board should be updated on what those changes are and when those changes are happening. So it can, help you in further your investigations and basically have more knowledge about what's taking place. So thank you.
Do you want to introduce the other members of your team?
Sure.
Just you could say their names if you want.
I have Commander Jesse Johns. He oversees our medical division. Commander Mike Rand, he sees over reentry, and Chris Lawrence oversees the operations of the jail.
Thank you.
Any questions? We're good.
Any other questions for Assistant Sheriff Lopez? I guess I would just say that I think that you have just told us that we are going to have a very thorough and substantive presentation from the Sheriff's Office about new medical technology and procedures and emphasis on care in the detention facilities, and we'll look forward to that at a future meeting. Thank you for being here. That is our last item, so if I could ask council to read us into closed session, please.
Good evening, Chair, Commission, and members of the public, for our closed session this evening at our regular meeting pursuant to Section 12A, Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release under Government Code Section 54957. We will have 19 cases for summary hearing pursuant to Rule and Regulation Section 16.2 as cases as listed in the agenda, and 6 cases on the consent agenda pursuant to Rule and Regulation Section 15 as listed in the agenda. And that concludes my closed session read-in.
Thank you. Let's take maybe a 10-minute break, and then we will come back into closed session. So thank you. Thank you, everyone, for participating tonight. Sorry for the technical difficulties we had, but we worked around it.